Washington, D.C. and back. My day in haiku. Haiku is a form of poetry with 3 lines structured to contain 5 syllables, then 7 syllables, and then 5 syllables again. There is often a reference to nature or seasons. A while back, I had a job delivering large-screen TVs around the Northeast U.S. On April 11, 2008, I decided to use SMS to blog from the road entirely in haiku. Well, it started with just one poem, but then the project started to grow. Drive complete beltway, circling D.C., never in. No cherry blossom. I had to deliver TVs to a series of customers living in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. Interstate 495 is a 64-mile highway loop known as the Capitol Beltway, and I ended up driving the entire circle that day, but I wasn't able to actually drive into the city to see the Cherry Blossom Festival that they have each spring. Second Amendment. Country music. Roads named Lee. Mason-Dixon line? As I traveled south, I observed various slight shifts in local culture. The Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution protects the right to keep and bear arms. Country music is a genre often associated with the southern U.S. General Robert E. Lee was a key figure in the American Civil War of the 1860s. The Mason-Dixon line is a boundary separating the north and south sides of that war. Client excited, crashed into van, doors now tied, like Sanford and Son. Sometimes the TVs were larger than the delivery van, and I would have to tie them down so they wouldn't fall out the back. My boss would joke that the van sometimes looked like the truck on an old TV show called Sanford and Son, where they would also tie things down to an overflowing truck. After I was done with one delivery, the customer was so excited that they accidentally drove their car into the delivery van. No one was hurt, but I had to tie the back doors together the same way I would tie the TVs. Dead men tell no tales. At empty funeral homes, they can sign receipts. Dead Men Tell No Tales is the title of a book by E. W. Hornung. I delivered a TV to an empty funeral home. The door was open, so I just brought it in. I wasn't exactly sure where to leave it, but then I found a dead body, and so I just left the TV there. Since no one else was around, I also had the deceased sign the receipt for the TV. Extra work, no tip. Barefoot, cold, wet Jersey's shore. Nature gives tips, too. My very last delivery was pretty late in the day, near the Atlantic Ocean shore of New Jersey. The customer asked me to do some extra work, and then never paid me a tip for doing so. After the delivery, I took my shoes off and just walked in the ocean for a little bit. That was nice. My day in haiku. Lucky is shaking his head. Where'd we get this guy? My boss's name really was Lucky, and he often thought I was crazy, especially when he'd hear stories like these about my deliveries. He really would shake his head and say that. So I wrote this final haiku of the day with him in mind.